and welcome. In this video we're going to talk about 59 electric cars that you can buy in 2022. The cars on this list are mostly in alphabetical order, and in terms of pricing I chose the starting price for each model, and in terms of performance the highest performing models each time. Obviously some of the models are offered in multiple configurations, so pricing and exact performance details might depend compared to what you see here. To start off the list, I'm going to start with the 2022 Audi Q4 e-tron, which has a starting price of a little under $50,000 US. It has a battery capacity of around 82 kilowatt hours and a range of 241 miles or about 387 kilometers, and does a 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. I think the Audi Q4 e-tron is a really nice electric car, definitely one I would consider buying, considering the exact specification that it has and how it competes to other models. Next on the list is the 2022 Audi Q4 Sportback e-tron, which has a starting price of a little over $52,000. It has very similar specs to the Audi Q4 e-tron. There's also the e-tron, which starts at $65,000, so over €10,000 more expensive than the previous Audi models, but it does has a larger capacity battery and more horsepower and a quicker 0 to 60 if that's what is important for you when selecting a car. The Audi e-tron S starts at $84,000. It offers 208 miles of range, 469 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 4.3 seconds. I would have really loved to see this version from Audi having a bit longer range, something in the 250 to 275 miles. I think at that range it would have been much more attractive offer. And of course the Audi e-tron S Sportback starting at $87,000, very similar to the previous model but a bit better, 0 to 60 time of only 4.3 seconds. And of course the best performing Audi e-tron, the Audi e-tron GT, starting at a little over $100,000 with a range of 248 miles or 383 kilometers, 522 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of just 3.1 seconds. Next we have the BMW i4 eDrive 40. I think the BMW lineup has very strange names, but this starts at $55,000 and offers a range of just over 300 miles, so around 480 kilometers, 345 horsepower in 5.5 seconds, 0 to 60 time. I think overall it's a very nice package. The range is definitely pretty good, and for this price range you are getting a lot of car. We also have the BMW i4 M50 starting at $65,000. The range is 270 miles, so a bit less, but it does offer more horsepower at 536. BMW also is coming up with the SUVs, so the iX xDrive 50 with a range of 324 miles, so a bit over 500 kilometers, and a battery capacity of over 100 kilowatt hours and a very good 0 to 60 time. This, I think it's a very nice car from BMW. I know that there's a lot of debate around the design and about the kidney grille, so let me know in the comments what do you think, if you like the design or do you think that the older BMW designs were better. And of course there's also an M version, so the BMW iX M60 starting at over $105,000 with a range of 280 miles or about 450 kilometers, 610 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 3.6 seconds. Very impressive performance from this BMW. Also, later towards the year, the 2023 Cadillac LYRIQ is going to be available. It's starting at around $60,000, and it's promising a lot for this price range. So over 300 miles, so over 482 kilometers range, and over 340 horsepower. I'm really looking forward for this car to come out. I think it's gonna be a very important model for Cadillac, and I think that the brand future really depends on the success of this particular vehicle. Coming up next is the Bolt EV, one of the original electric cars or one of the pioneers in the space. It starts from $31,000, which is very good value. Battery capacity of only 65 kilowatt hours, but that is still enough to drive it for 259 miles or about 415 kilometers, and also delivers over 200 horsepower. Maybe the acceleration could have been better, only 6.5, but I guess if you buy this car, you don't buy it as a performance vehicle, so that is fine. Also, the Bolt EUV, starting at $33,000. I think this car is an excellent value, offering 247 miles of range. I think this is the only part where I wish I would have seen a little bit more, something closer to 300 miles. I would have thought this would have been an absolutely excellent purchase decision. Maybe even if it was a bit more expensive, so having around 300 miles range for $38,000, that would have been an incredible offer to beat. There's also the Dacia Spring. Dacia is a brand that is owned by the Renault Group. It's as far as I'm aware, it's not available in North America, but it is available in a lot of other markets. And it has been previous Dacia models with internal combustion engine have been pretty successful. But this one is a strange package in my opinion. It's coming with a fairly small battery capacity of less than 40 kilowatt hours, but still manages to perform for about 140 miles, so about 240 kilometers. But it offers very low power, only 45 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of around 19 seconds, which is pretty slow, I would say, and I would be a bit concerned of taking it out on the highway, especially merging into high-speed traffic. I think it might struggle at some points, but as a city car, or if you rarely get to take it out of the highway based on where you live, I think it's a good car, and at the $22,000, it's very hard to beat that price range. Up next, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, starting at $43,000. Of course, it comes in different versions and at different price points, but in the best configurations, you can get it with a range of up to 314 miles, so about 500 kilometers, 480 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 3.5 seconds. Very good time, and I think this is selling very well for Ford. I see the Mustang Mach-E everywhere I go, and I think so far it has been a quite successful car. Coming up next, the Ford F-150 Lightning, with a price tag starting at around $44,000, battery capacity of up to 141 kilowatt hours, up to 320 miles of range, so 514 kilometers, up to 563 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 4.4 seconds. I really think that this is probably the most important electric car coming out this year, if not even the most electric car in general coming out this year, because the Ford F-150 is one of the best selling cars for a lot of years in a row, and the best selling truck for many years in a row. So if this proves successful in the marketplace, I think we're going to see a lot more other trucks becoming electric very soon, so that other manufacturers can compete with Ford. I really like this car a lot. I like the design, I like the performance specifications, I like the different features that it offers. My only concern, let's say, or my only wish would have been that it would have been a bit more different with the design. I think Ford wanted to play it safe here and kept the design very similar to the F-150, but I think it would have been a bit better if they would have made it more different so people can recognize it more easily. But still, overall, a great package, and it's an electric car that I would really consider purchasing. After that, the GMC Hummer EV pickup, starting at $80,000 eventually. Currently, the model that is right now on sale, it's over $100,000. This one offers a monster battery of over 200 kilowatt hours, which is the highest on the list and more than double compared to most other cars on the list. But the range is 329 miles, so about 530 kilometers. A good range, but nowhere close to the size of the battery that it has, and it also has over 1,000 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds. It would be very interesting here if the Hummer came out with a smaller battery pack, how much that would have impacted the range. Because obviously the bigger the battery pack, the bigger the weight of it, and the bigger the weight, the smaller the range. So I'm curious how these tradebacks have been worked through by Hummer. I think this has the potential to be a fairly successful car. If you think back about the Hummer H1 and the Hummer H2, they were very successful at their time. They're definitely a car that demands a lot of road presence. So I think we're gonna see a lot of them around, especially once those cheaper models enter production. After we have the KONA Electric, which I think is one of the best cars on this list, starting at around $34,000 with around 258 miles of range, so around 400 kilometers, 200 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time in 6.4 seconds. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these on the road very soon, and I think it's going to be a very successful electric vehicle. Also, the IONIQ 5, starting at $43,000, offering also around 300 miles of range, so 415 kilometers, over 300 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 4.4 seconds. I think out of all of the electric cars that are on sales right now, I like the design of the IONIQ 5 the most. I think the company has taken a lot of risks with it and made it look like pretty much no other car on the road. I think it really stands out as a design, and you probably either like it or hate it. I don't think there's a lot of people in the middle. To some extent, I think it's probably similar to the Cybertruck, which also has a very polarizing design. But I really like the IONIQ 5, and it is a car that I am considering purchasing. There's also the IONIQ Electric, which is starting at $33,000. It only offers a battery capacity of around 30 kilowatts, which limits the range to only 170 miles and the 0 to 60 time in 9.6 seconds. I think this car is quite strange. I would have really liked to see something with a much bigger battery capacity, around 60, maybe 70 kilowatt hours. So with a range of over 250 miles, even if that would have bumped the price up a bit. For most people, I think it's going to be fine for the daily commute at least, but I think a lot of people are going to have range anxiety when taking this on a longer road trip. After this, we have the Jaguar I-Pace, one of the first more luxurious brands that came out with an electric car. Offers a range of close to 300 miles, so around 470 kilometers, close to 400 horsepower, time to 60 of 4.5 seconds, and a starting price of close to $70,000. I like the Jaguar I-Pace a lot, and I haven't seen many of them, to be honest. Very rarely I see them. So so far I'm not sure how successful of a car it has been in terms of sales, but I think it's a good package that Jaguar is offering, and I'm really looking forward to see other cars in the Jaguar lineup becoming electric. For that we have the Kia Niro EV, which offers a range of around 239 miles, so around 384 kilometers, and around 200 horsepower, starting at around $40,000. Also have the Kia EV6, starting at a little over $40,000, with a range of up to 328 miles, so around 500 kilometers, 225 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 4.5 seconds. I think this is probably right now the best electric option from Kia, and also one of the best options on the market. I also like the design of it a lot, and it is overall a pretty practical car. After that we have the Lucid Air. Lucid has been around in the news for the last few years. I think many people were doubting it at some point if it is gonna actually enter into production or not, and it has. You can get a Lucid Air with a range of up to 520 miles, so around 836 kilometers, which is an excellent range. It would be very hard to drive more than that without stopping. It offers over 1000 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds. I think overall it is an excellent car. I'm very curious if they are going to be able to reach volume production. I really hope that they do, because I think that the Lucid Air is really a strong competitor in the EV space and really sets the bar high for other car manufacturers. The Mazda MX-30 EV comes with a battery capacity of 35 kilowatt hours and a range of 100 miles, or around 160 kilometers, and a 0 to 60 time of 9 seconds. I'm personally a very big Mazda fan. I currently own a Mazda car, but for me this car is a hard sale. I think the range is just too small. I would have liked to see at least double of that to consider it. I think the design is interesting, and I like the way the doors open, these dual side doors that they have implemented. I'm very curious for the next electric Mazdas that are going to be coming out, but this one, unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of it. The Mercedes-Benz EQS starts at a little over $100,000, range up to 350 miles, 560 kilometers, over 500 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. Obviously, with Mercedes now entering the electric cars, the luxury segment is going to be heating up a lot. So I think that this is a very important addition to the electric car world. I don't know if I like the design of it that much, the exterior. The interior I really like, but in terms of exterior, I liked the normal gas engine cars from Mercedes a lot more. Obviously, some of the exterior design choices have been influenced by how aerodynamic the car is. I haven't seen it too much on the roads. Obviously, it's a very expensive car, but I think it is probably gonna catch on. You also have the Mercedes-AMG EQS starting at 149,000. I couldn't find the range details for this one, but it has over 700 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 3.4 seconds. When Mercedes first started doing electric cars, I was wondering if they're gonna still keep the AMG lineup or if they're just gonna offer different performance levels of the other cars, but I see that they kept it, and I'm very curious of how it is gonna perform in terms of sales once it comes out. The Mercedes-Benz EQE in North America is currently not available, but it's already on sale in Europe. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class is one of my favorite all-time cars. The EQE is not necessarily my favorite electric car, maybe not even my favorite Mercedes-Benz electric car, but this one has a nice package of close to 400 miles, so around 550 kilometers, and close to 300 horsepower. The Mercedes-Benz EQA, the first electric, or the first on this list, electric SUV from Mercedes. This is something very confusing, by the way, because Mercedes seems to be using the same name. So they have the EQS that we just saw, and soon they're also going to be coming out with the EQS SUV. So it seems that the current naming from the gas cars is not going to be ported over to the electric cars. The Mercedes-Benz EQB, starting at $57,000. This is currently my favorite electric Mercedes-Benz. Offers only 262 miles of range, so a bit over 400 kilometers. I would really like to see this a bit higher. If it would be 300 to 350, I think it would be a really excellent car. But even so, I think it's a pretty good buy. And the Mercedes-Benz EQC, starting at close to $77,000 with a range of 255 miles, so around 410 kilometers, 408 horsepower, and 0 to 60 time of 4.9 seconds. For me, this one is a hard sell. I would choose the EQB over the EQC pretty much any time. It is a little bit bigger, but not significant. Has a little bit better specifications, but I don't know if that is enough for me for the trade-off in terms of the cost and also the performance. And there's also the Mercedes-Benz EQV. So this is the electric version of the V-Class, or the Metis, how it's called in North America. This one I was very surprised when they announced it with this specification. It has a battery capacity of only 90 kilowatt hours, and it is a very big car. I'm surprised they didn't add a much larger battery, something like around 150 kilowatt hours, so that it would have a much better range. A lot of the V classes, at least where I live, are used as company cars transporting around executives. So having the range of only 220 miles seems a bit small to me. Maybe they are considering that for a longer range, these people are gonna just take a flight, but you don't always live or travel to a city where an airport is based. So I'm a bit surprised. Maybe future versions are gonna come out with a higher capacity battery, and I think if that would be the case, it's gonna be a very interesting car. There's also an electric Mini. As far as I know, it's currently not for sale in North America, but it's starting at around the equivalent of around $30,000 US. It has a battery capacity of only 32 kilowatt hours, so the range is only 140 miles, so around 220 kilometers. I think it's a nice sport car, or if you have a nice city car, or if you have a nice short commute, I think it's good. But for a longer trip, I think you'll have to do a lot of stops to charge it. The Nissan LEAF, starting at $27,000, obviously one of the pioneers in the electric space. Comes with a battery of only 62 kilowatt hours, but still manages to drive 226 miles, or about 363 kilometers. Nissan is also coming out with the ARIYA, starting at $46,000, range of 300 miles or 482 kilometers, and 238 horsepower. I'm really curious how this car is gonna sell. I think a lot of people that might currently have the Nissan LEAF or have had it previously are gonna upgrade to this car. So I think it's gonna do very, very well in the marketplace in terms of sales. I don't know if I like it from a design perspective that much, but in terms of what it is offering for this price range, I think it is an excellent offer. Opel also has the electric Mokka-E. with a 50 kilowatt hours battery, only 200 miles of range, so around 323 kilometers. It also has the Vivaro e-Combi with a 75 kilowatt hour battery and around 205 or 5 miles or 329 kilometers. The Opel Zafira e-Life starting at $56,000, 75 kilowatt hour battery, 205 miles, so around 330 kilometers range, and a 0 to 60 time of 13.3 seconds. Similar to the Mercedes EQV, I would have really liked to see this with a much bigger battery, also because it's a very big car. You would have had a lot of space to put that battery. Obviously that would have driven the price up a lot as well, and I think if this car would be close to $70,000, probably the people that are in the market for a car like this would not consider it anymore. And we also have the Opel Combi e-Life with a 50 kilowatt hour battery and a range of 175 miles. This one is starting at only $36,000. If the range would have been 220, 230 miles, I think it would have been an absolute steal and a bargain. Like this, it really depends what you're going to be using for. If you do a lot of long drives, you're probably going to have some range anxiety with it. Peugeot also is doing some pretty nice electric cars. The E208, I think it's one of my favorite small electric cars. Somehow it reminds me a lot about the Audi R8 or the older Audi TTs. I like the front of it a lot. It has a small 50 kilowatt hour battery and delivers around 200 miles of range, so around 321 kilometers. There's also the SUV version, the Peugeot E2008, starting at $44,000, offers 175 miles of range, so around 280 kilometers. I really think Peugeot should have put a bigger battery in this one to have a bigger range and also a bit better performance. The 0 to 60 is around 11 seconds. There's also the Peugeot e-Rifter, starting at close to $40,000, same 50 kilowatt hour battery, also around 172 miles, and a 0 to 60 time of close to 11 seconds. There's the Peugeot e-Traveler, also on the 50 kilowatt hour battery, offering 148 miles as well, similar to the other vans that I've had on this list. I really wished I would have seen a bigger battery pack here. The Polestar 2, starting at close to $46,000, 270 miles of range, so about 400 kilometers, 433 horsepower, and 0 to 60 time about 7 seconds. I'm really curious what is going to happen with the Polestar brand in the future, if it's going to get rolled into Volvo or if they really plan to keep it separate forever, now that Volvo is also producing electric cars. I've seen a few Polestars. I really like them. I think they are a very nice car, and the interior design is one of the best available right now in my opinion. The Porsche Taycan, which makes a lot of variation. I think currently they sell 12 different variations of the Taycan. The cheapest one starts at around $84,000, but the best one has battery capacity of close to 100 kilowatt hours, over close to 300 miles of range, 750 horsepower, and 0 to 60 of 2.6 seconds. I have a video on the channel reviewing all of the electric Porsche Taycans, so if you're interested to see all of the variation, have a look at that one. The Renault Zoe E-Tech Electric starts at close to $40,000, battery capacity of 52 kilowatt hours, 238 miles of range, so close to 400 kilometers, and 0 to 69 seconds. I think an excellent car overall. I was a bit surprised with the price. I was expecting it to start a little bit lower than that, but I think that in this price range and in these car segments, it's probably the best overall package. The Rimac Nevera, starting at 2.4 million US dollars, and probably already completely sold out because they're only going to be making a little over 100 models. Has a 120 kilowatt hour battery, a range of 440 miles or up close to 550 kilometers, close to 2000 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 of under 2 seconds. A really impressive car, and something that a lot of performance gas cars can look up to. I haven't seen it in reality, probably never will. I guess a lot of the people who have purchased it are just gonna keep it in the garage or drive it very little. But I would really like to see one, and especially be able to get into one at some point. The Rivian R1T, these have recently started delivering, and also the price has increased compared to what the original price was. So currently it starts at close to $79,000. The best version offers a battery with 145 kilowatt hours capacity, a range of around 300 miles, so close to 500 kilometers, and over 800 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. I think the Rivian is one of the most interesting electric cars out right now. I think the design of it is very distinctive. I think what they have done with the gear tunnel is really interesting and a differentiator, and also some nice interior design elements that set it apart. I'm very curious how well they are going to manage to scale up production and keep up with the orders, and also what the reliability of the cars is going to be in the future. But from where they are standing right now, I think they're definitely one of the companies to watch in the space. And by the end of the year, the Rivian R1S should also start delivery. This one starts at close to $85,000 and offers pretty much the same specs as the R1T, but since it's a SUV, it also comes in a 7-seat variant. ŠKODA ENYAQ EV SUV, battery capacity of 82 kilowatt hours, 253 miles of range, so around 400 kilometers, and a 0 to 60 of 8 seconds. In my opinion, one of the best electric packages available right now. I think the price point is very good for what this car offers, and traditionally ŠKODA makes some very practical cars. The interior space, the trunk space is always really good, so I think this is probably not going to be any different. The Subaru Solterra, starting at $38,000 with 225 miles of range, so around 362 kilometers. One of my favorite electric cars coming out. Similar to others, I would have liked to see a bigger range from it, even if it had been maybe $7,000, $8,000 more expensive. It would have had another 50 miles. I think it would have been a really tough package to build, especially for people that are passionate about the outdoors. Subaru is a great brand, but I would be concerned on going on a longer outdoor trip because of this range. So I think for the category where it is, or who I think the users of this car would be and what they'd like to do, I think Subaru should have come up with a car with a longer range. Similarly to what Rivian has done, because the Rivian R1T is also positioned as a outdoor person car, but they offer a much better range. Obviously, no list of electric cars could be complete without Tesla. So the Tesla Model S starts at $93,000. The top model, the Plaid, offers 100 kilowatt hours battery, over 1000 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. Tesla Model 3 starts at $42,000, offers a range of around 330 miles, or around 540 kilometers, and a 0 to 60 in 3.1. Tesla Model X starts at $109,000, also has a Plaid version that also has over 1000 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 2.5 seconds, and also has option of up to 7 seats. And the Tesla Model Y starting at $58,000 with a range of 330 miles or 531 kilometers and a 0 to 60 of 3.5 seconds. I think with Tesla it's very interesting right now because they are going through this transition where they are replacing or changing the type of batteries they are using, so the actual size, and also a bit some manufacturing changes. So the front part of the car and back, it's gonna be poured from just one piece instead of multiple pieces that are welded together, and the battery pack is gonna become a structural element. So for me right now, I'm waiting on ordering a Tesla until all of the Teslas that are coming out are gonna have this new battery pack and this new construction style. I don't know the exact timings that they have for this, but I think probably towards the end of the year that is gonna be the case. Tesla is anyway getting much more orders than it is able to produce. So I would wait a little bit right now on ordering a new Tesla. Then we have the Toyota BZ4X, really strange name to be honest, starting at around $40,000, 317 miles, around 500 kilometers, and around 202 horsepower. This is an excellent car. The price is very, very good for the performance it promised to offer. It hasn't started delivery yet, so let's see if this also is the performance that is going to be in the real world. But if it is probably the best package on this list. Toyota has obviously been one of the pioneers in the electric space, but then they kind of looked at other technology as well, at fuel cells, at hydrogen cars. So they haven't been that active in developing electric cars. But now that they are back in the game, I think we're going to be seeing some very excellent cars coming out of Toyota. Volkswagen ID.4 starting at around $41,000, offers 250 miles or 400 kilometers of range. It's a nice car from Volkswagen, and I think it's going to be one of the best selling EVs in this category. The Volvo C40 Recharge starting at $57,000 with around 262 miles or 421 kilometers and 400 horsepower. Very nice car from Volvo. But they're also offering the Volvo XC40 Recharge starting at $56,000 with a battery capacity of 78 and a range of 208 miles or 418. If I had to choose between the two of them, I think I like the specification and also the design from the Volvo XC40 much better. These are all the cars on the list. Thank you very much for liking. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and talk to you soon.